Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vivian Bird, the STEAM librarian for the Exploration and Creativity Department of the Los Angeles Public Library, and I'm here to introduce today's Maker Talk. I want to take some time to thank our Library Foundation and our behind-the-scenes staff for helping us bring these virtual programs to you. First off, I would like to invite and remind everyone to join our Winter Reading Challenge. Time is running out. Make sure you sign up at lapl.org/winter and participate before January 9th. And after you sign up for the Winter Reading Challenge, don't forget to participate in the Coding for Change Challenge. All ages and coding experience are welcome. Even if you have never coded before, you can still participate. Just complete 2 of the 5 coding challenges and you will earn a digital badge and a ticket for an exclusive prize drawing. To learn more about the challenge, be sure to visit our neighborhood science page at lapl.org/NAISCI, NEISCI. I hope everyone is checking out our online calendar regularly at lapl.org/events. We have so many amazing and fun programs for different age groups. Be sure to check out if you haven't. Now on to our Maker Talk. So when I was tasked to produce our second Downtown Los Angeles Mini Maker Fair in 2016, I had very little knowledge about makers and making. I mean, I know it's about gathering people who make things to showcase what they made, but I had no clue I was given a very precious opportunity to be part of a movement that truly embraced the culture of sharing. Since then, I have been meeting so many amazingly talented, creative, and friendly makers who are always so eager and willing to just not just showcasing what they have made, but sharing all the techniques and secret sauce or recipes with you without hesitation, just to help you create what you dreamed. It's a community that everyone shares resources, exchange ideas, learn from each other, and truly happy for each other's achievement. There's no judgment, and failure is truly part of the learning process. I've attended so many maker meetups, and whenever someone talked about issues or failure of their creation, all I heard was everyone in the group offering tips and advice, asking the person, hey, have you tried this and that? I think this might work. Why don't you give it a shot? That eagerness to help and share really touches me every time. And this is the reason why we create Maker Talk series. So all of you have a chance to meet and learn from many talented makers who we hope will spark the spirit of making in you. Los Angeles has a very big maker community, believe it or not. And it's not a secret society. If you wanted to try your hands at making something or just curious about making, everyone in this community will welcome you with open arms. The makers I'm introducing today, Barb Noren, is exactly one of the makers in our community who does just that. Barb Noren is a master maker, educator, and self-proclaimed nerd. She works at the Kids Makerspace Rediscover Center, where she helps kids of all ages learn how to use recycled materials to make new things. And she's very funny, by the way. She has been participating in the Downtown LA Mini Maker Fair since the first year, that's 2015, both with Rediscover Center and her hackerspace, Crash Space. And you may have seen her videos on her YouTube channel, Barb Make Things. And guess what? If you haven't, make sure you bookmark it and check it out after the program. I guarantee you will love it. You will be blown away by some of her wildest creations, I guaranteed. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Barb Noren.
Hello. I am really, really happy to be with you today and get to talk to you and show you some of the fun stuff that I've made. And so I've got some slides here. If we can pop these guys up. Yeah. Cool. Oh, I should hide these things. I hope everybody's doing well today. Let's hide this stuff. Cool. Okay. Nice. All right. So I'm going to show you a few things that I've made. I'm titling this talk, You Can and Should Make Things and Why Generalism is Awesome Sauce. You'll see why. So my name is Barb. I'm Barb Noren. I really like to make things. I like to make all kinds of stuff. You'll see in all these pictures here, right here on the left, there is me holding these two, we're calling them soldering unicorns. It's a My Little Pony that has a soldering iron that's embedded in the top, and they are functional, they're working soldering irons, and they're fun. I mean, sometimes people ask why, I say, why not? There's an arm that moves made out of cardboard. I like doing 3D printing. I like doing woodworking and making instruments, especially out of wood, and I'll show you a couple of those today. But I'm director of programs at a kids makerspace called Rediscover Center in Culver City. So that's like what I do during my day job. And basically I teach kids to use power tools and like help them hack together cool new, sometimes functional art projects, and sometimes decorative and aesthetically pleasing or interesting art projects from creative reuse materials. And I like doing that as well myself in my free time. I hang out, well, Vivian mentioned I like to hang out with a bunch of nerds at my local hacker space, which is called a Crash Space. And I take part in some live streams, especially now since, well, we've all been kind of stuck at home a bit. And I sometimes make videos on my YouTube channel. And recently I've been planning a virtual art show that will be happening in February, which I will tell you a little bit more about here soon. So I like using a whole lot of different kinds of tools. On the right here, I'm soldering a little badge. When I was younger, these are me. When I was younger, I've always liked making things. When I was little, I mean, my mom she still is. My mom's is an artist. She uses a whole bunch of different materials and media to make art. My dad's a computer guy, so I grew up with both of those things, and I always knew that just like people made things, that's how humans work. So I said, okay, I can make things too. But I had all kinds of like interests, you know, even from before I really could do playing piano, I like to play around with the piano there. And on the left here, you see a picture of me in footy pajamas with headphones. This is one of my favorite pictures, looking at the record player, because I was fascinated with the mechanism of it and like the knobs and dials, and it was so cool. And I just absolutely loved that thing. So when I was young, I did a whole lot of, because I didn't do so much with the power tools when I was really little. We teach kids to use power tools a little bit older than, or younger than I first learned it. But when I started out, I did a whole lot with paper. I did origami. I would make like boxes out of like old greeting cards. I would do drawings and paintings, and I liked to do like sculpture with clay and stuff, and a variety of other things. I loved using, like, I got this little this tiny set of tiny screwdrivers from an arcade that I won there. And I would use those, and I would take apart like everything I could. And especially we would like try to get watches from sending in box tops from cereal boxes. I don't even know if they do that anymore. But I would get these little watches and I'd take them apart, just to get to see all the little, you know, details inside. So if you've ever looked at my YouTube channel, or if you ever do look at my YouTube channel after this, you'll see that there are a whole lot of different things that I make. And I'm going to show you a few different things that use different kinds of materials. So the first one is a dragon head mask. And it's big, it's full size. So on the left here, you can see my hand. You can see what I made is this little prototype of it. And I made that out of cereal boxes and tape. And there are like a couple brass fasteners. And that's literally all that is. And that stayed together for maybe a day after I made it. But that's all it needed. It was just like a quick little prototype so that I could figure out what I wanted it to look like. I could mess around with it. That's why the tape is in like weird, why it looks like super messy. That's fine. All I needed was to get an idea of it, and then I could scale it up and make it like that big one on the left. But it didn't stay like that because I wanted to make it bigger. Let me see if I can actually see myself here. You see full size. This is a wearable one. Here, I'm going to take off my headphones so I can actually put this on. This is a wearable dragon head. Hi. And this thing is made like entirely out of cardboard. There's almost nothing that's not cardboard or paper in here. So you can see a little bit inside. It's kind of tough to see. There's a cardboard headband in there. There's all of the interior here. You can see there's like L braces. If I can point, I can't point. All of these kinds of supports, these are all made out of cardboard. And one of the cool things about cardboard, aside just from being recyclable and being around all the time right now, because, you know, a lot of folks are getting things delivered. And so there's just boxes all over the place, right? Is that it can be really sturdy. Like you can curve it and you can bend it if you like learn the different ways of doing it. And so since I wanted color also, and I wanted to make this entirely out, I mean, it's light. That's one of the nice things about making it entirely out of cardboard and paper is this is not a heavy thing to put on your head. But the color comes from doing like a collage of paper and magazine parts. Like there's bits of National Geographics and stuff on here. Actually, you can see on the horns, see the flames. See, it's a fire dragon. This is literally almost entirely just paper, except for some metal parts for the hinges so that the jaw can move. And I painted the teeth, but that's it. Otherwise, there's no paint on this. So this was a really fun thing. This took actually quite a long time, but this was like a neat example of trying to make a project entirely or almost entirely out of recycled materials. That's mostly reused magazines and old paper that I never had to. So I never had to actually purchase things for that. I just used glue and cardboard and paper. So that's my dragon head mask. And actually that one, if you want to see more about it, I do have on my Instructables page, which there will be a link for. I wrote up how exactly I did that. For most of these projects, I've written them up or I've made videos of them on them, so you can see more about it. Because we don't have enough time for me to show you all of this stuff. But you can see the different prototypes or the prototypes and stuff that I made, all the different steps. This is on, and this is how I made the horns. It is fascinating building stuff with cardboard. You guys, you can make so many things with cardboard. It's so much fun. Okay, so that's the dragon head mask. Another thing, like I mentioned when I was younger, I really, really was into music, still am. But I like to make musical instruments too. So like I would take shoe boxes and stretch rubber bands around them and make shoebox guitars. I'm sure that a lot of you have done that as well. But when I got older and I started being able to use these more complex tools, I was able to make things that were a little bit more detailed. And so in 2014, I think, I started making these big instruments, my hexachords. So let me show. Yes. So my first hexachord is 3 feet tall, has 6 chambers around it, and there's a motorized arm in the center that spins and plucks them. And they're each on a hinge so you can move them into or out of the way of the plucking arm. And you can change the tuning on it so you can make them kind of do whatever you want. And you'll hear what it sounds like in a second here. The second one that I did is a single body hexachord that has, if you can see this, 6 necks that stick out from the center and all those strings that come back to the center. And what you can't see on that, or you can't really see too well, is there are servos, if you know what those are, a certain kind of motor that can very precisely, you can tell it where to go. So there are servos, or these little motors that are controlled by an Arduino that's hidden on the back. And so this instrument plays itself entirely. And these ones I have written up as well. So you can see, here, I'm just going to show you. Yes, so this is my second one, which is smaller. Yeah, honestly, I made it smaller because it was really hard to carry around the other one. But see, I have all of these pictures of like how many clamps I needed to put this thing together. It was a learning experience making this because I was designing it as I went. That's one of the fun things that I find about making is building stuff as you go. See, there's the Arduino hiding on the back. Cool. And now we have a video, if we can pull that up, of what these instruments sound like. What they look like. So that's those are my my musical instruments, a couple of my musical instruments. I'm also, or wait, let me not sneak ahead. I also have worked on, I've been working on, and there are videos on my YouTube channel of this thing called a dodecahedron. Not a dodecahedron, it's a pun. It was such a good pun that my friend said that I had to make it into a real thing, a thing in real life. It's a giant dodecahedron frame that has a bunch of drums on the sides. And so I built drums for it that are not round, but that are, well, dodecahedron has pentagon sides, not hexagon sides, but I had to make a hexagon because hexagons are the bestagons. But this was another fun challenge to design and figure out what this would, how I could make it sound nice. Oh, look, you can see reflections. You can also talk to it, and it's an interesting sound. I like experimenting with sound. I like experimenting with making. Cool. So those are some of my instruments. Let's move on because I have one more thing, probably more than one, to be fair. Does the sound, good question. Does the sound of the drum change with the shape? It does somewhat, yeah. And that's an interesting thing. With round drums, the reflections, because this is how sound works, is it's just echoes. It's a whole bunch of tiny little echoes because sound is vibration, which you can hear if you like hit a drum, or you can feel it. You can feel it shaking really, really fast. And it bounces around on the inside. And the way that it bounces around, or the shape of the room, the shape of the space that's making the echoes changes it a lot. So a round one has a very specific sound. The sound of a drum that's another shape, if you listen really carefully to it, there are different kind of harmonics. There are different sounds, almost like different notes that you can hear in it. And if I tighten this, sorry if that's a little bit loud, I don't know. Yeah, but you can, if you check out some of the videos, I show you the different types and the different shapes and how you get different sounds out of it. Cool. So my next thing that I want to show you that I've been working on, and this is still a project in progress because goodness, it is a lot to do these things. Let me see if I can get, I don't have her eyes plugged in. That's right. This is Nixie. I have some friends who have made little robots to sit on their shoulders and just kind of move, like, you know, sometimes like they've got heads that'll look around and they'll interact a little bit. So I decided to make an octopus because I feel like, what were my reasons? Okay, I wanted to make an octopus, an octopus familiar, an octopus companion, because I feel like I'm usually juggling at least 8 things at once. So she can help me carry things. And also I'm way more graceful in water than on land. So I figure octopus should be a good way to do that. Now, each of these arms are connected to a servo inside of here. And it's still kind of in progress, so it doesn't work quite well, you know, completely yet. But let me see if I can show you a little bit of this. You see those going up? Yeah. See the arms curving? If you've ever used a straw and cut little slits in it and tied a string through it to make like a kind of a curving finger type shape thing, that's how these arms work. Eventually they will move a little bit better and they will, it'll look a little bit more natural. Some of these arms are going to move in different directions as well. There are also videos on my YouTube channel about how I made all of this, because most of this is 3D printed. And I did the 3D modeling of this in a program called Fusion 360, although there are other good 3D modeling programs that are especially good for beginners, like like Tinkercad. And so I made all of these things and I printed them, and then they didn't work and I printed them again. And then those didn't work. So I made some changes and I tried those and, modified things like all the time and constantly until I got it to this point, which it's still going to need some work. But I have this, and then there will be little LED lights here and little suction cups. And there are eyes that can move around as well. If we can see in the, actually, if you want to see the sorry. You can see the inside here, and you can see this servo motor on top that turns and pulls all these strings. Wait, there we go. And then it pulls them in. Still needs some work, but it is kind of functioning. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to turn this off. And you can see on this slide, if we pop back here, see there's a picture of Nixie with her eyes on. And on the right side, there are all of these lights and all of the suction cups. So there are going to be lights behind all of the suckers on her arms, and they can change color depending on her mood. So we're going to have to see what that looks like. I'll be posting pictures and, probably videos about this too as I go. So if you look, if you go to like my website at barbmakesthings.com or any of these other places, you'll be able to see that as it keeps going. So I wanted to tell you a little bit. We've got an activity that we're going to do, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about like how these different projects are very different. I don't know if you noticed that. But like one was made out of cardboard, like almost entirely out of cardboard and recycled materials, right? I love making things out of recycled materials. The second one is woodworking, which I also love. It's really, really fun to do that and be able to manipulate something that's hard like that, but still has some kind of flexibility that you can put together with screws and take apart and like, kind of carve it and do lots of interesting things with it and lots of different tools that you can use for it. And then my octopus is 3D printed and 3D modeled, and it's made out of plastic and wire and electronics. These are all very, very different areas. And the reason that I wind up coming up with a lot of these different things is because I have a whole lot of interests. They are many and varied. And I like to learn as much as I can about all of these different things, because then I get to intersect all of these areas and find ways to pull different things together. So, for instance, making a musical instrument out of wood or out of recycled materials. I've made a talking drum out of like funnels and like an old leather jacket from a Goodwill. You can do lots of things. So generalists are often lifelong learners. It's people who can see the big picture and figure out kind of how things should go together to overlap. Generalists, there's a little bit of controversy over generalism and like generalists and specialists. Specialists are people who can, focus in and have like lots and lots of information and lots of knowledge about like one very specific thing, but not as much about other things around it. It's harder for some of those people to be able to connect to other areas. And when we're in a world and when we're in a world that you're going to be going out when you eventually go out into the workforce, or if you are already, experiencing that as well, you need to be able to figure out how to make different things work for you. You need to be flexible. And this is one good way of being flexible, is like learning about as much as you can. Learning as much as you can, as long as you can. Don't stop learning. It's great. And there's this quote that sometimes people use, and they say, "Jack of all trades, master of none," which it's a bit of a dig at generalists, at people who have a wide breadth of knowledge. But then there's I'm not sure if it's an old quote or a new quote, the end of this, of "though often sometimes better than a master of one," because there are different strengths for generalists than there are for specialists. There are places and times for both, and both are very useful. So, because I have lots of different ideas or lots of different fields of interest, it is hard for me not to come up with ideas, actually, because I'm always looking at different things. And I say a lot that tinkering is not an activity. Yay, fellow generalists. We got generalists in the chat. Oh no, I lost my train of thought. I was talking about lots of interests, making things, lots of ideas. Yes. I wanted to share with you some ways that you can come up with ideas that are related to what you like. And that's going to be what our activity is. But before we get there, I want to talk about these things just a little bit more. So here are some ways to help you spark finding ideas of things of projects, things to make, things to work on, designs to build, just like ideas of, honestly, you could if you come up with an idea of something, it could become something that you produce and create and sell to the world. So one way of doing this is to observe and be curious and think about things. So look at something and say, okay, why is it the way it is? I'm going to go ahead and point out to all of the females out here, pants and their pockets. Guys may not be used to this, but pants pockets for women's pants are usually quite tiny. So that's a good thing to think about. Okay, why is it that way? Who designed it that way? Apparently not somebody who wanted to carry a lot of things in their pockets. There might be a lot of different possibilities. Is there another way to do it? Could you design them to have larger pockets? I have always wanted to make pants with bigger pockets. Actually, what would be cool is like pants that are just all pockets. That'd be fun. But like you can think about how would you do it differently? Would one way of doing it or the way that you see it done, does that work well for everybody? Like, are there people who need different kinds of modifications? And how could you change it that way? Or could you combine it and make like a hybrid of two different things? Other ways of coming up with ideas are designing and redesigning. There's this thing that you've probably heard about in school, or maybe, hopefully you're learning about this in school, is the design thinking process. And that is like thinking about, I'll go real fast over it. I know it's school stuff. It's useful too. Okay. Empathize. Think about a client. Dresses with pockets are absolutely a treasure. Thank you, Katie. Thinking about somebody who needs something. Empathize with them. Think about what their life is like and what specific needs they have. Then define what the problem is that you need to help solve. Then ideate or brainstorm ideas, coming up with a bunch of ideas. Go past your first one. It's good to have a lot of different ideas and different possibilities. Then you make a prototype, just like a quick version of it. Try it out, test it, especially if you can go back to the client, the person you're making this for, and say, hey, how is this? Does this work for you? And they can give you feedback. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to make a new one. And I'll just go back through it again. You can customize something for yourself or for somebody that you know. I often have to change, like sometimes you have to change how, in terms of clothes, how clothes fit. That's fine. You can do that if you learn how to sew. And if you don't know how to sew, you can learn how to sew. You can also design things so that you're able to show your learning to somebody else, either to like in school, so you can show your teachers that you know what's going on, or to teach to somebody else. I designed one of my videos on my channel. I designed this contraption that lets me show all 6 simple machines. And so that was an interesting way to design something so that it teaches all of these different things. You can also take stuff that is, take things that are broken And rather than throwing them out and ending their life cycle, rather than buying something new and making the planet give up more of its resources, you can instead fix it and make new things out of it. For instance, I don't know if you'll notice my lovely headphones here. They have these crocheted covers on them. It's not just because my ears were cold, although it is a little chilly right now. The cover of this, the plastic, wore off. So it looked all ugly and it was scratchy and not very comfortable. So I crocheted these to go over it. I had to practice it and try to figure out how to design it because nobody was making patterns for how to make things to go over these specific headphones. But that's okay. These headphones, again, because I really, really like them, the cord on them kind of broke, and I'm sure that you all have experienced this before. So instead of just getting rid of it, I soldered on a new cable or a new plug. It took a couple tries actually to do that. The first time I did it, it didn't work too well. I had to do it again. But so that's a couple ways of finding projects and things to do. Like you could fix a backpack or a bag or a jacket. If it starts wearing out, add patches to it, make it look cooler, make it express yourself more. And then this is one that I really find very interesting, and that's going to tie into our activity here. And that's exploring the intersections between different fields, different areas. That's where some of like the coolest, most interesting, innovative stuff happens, is where there are overlaps. So for instance, hang on, let me find my notes. So for instance, like art and engineering, the overlap of those can turn into architecture. If you're really interested in, like this is also comes into play if you're interested in a couple different fields that you might think are very different, like art and like technology or computer science. One way that those can overlap is there's software for editing artwork. Like there's Photoshop, there's Illustrator. There are a lot of different programs that can do that, including not expensive ones, but free ones, and new apps that are coming out for phones all the time. That's a really cool direction that things can go. New cool filters for photos, get it into social media, lots of different ways you can go with that. Another way that they can overlap in terms of art and like technology, one of the really cool things like fashion plus technology is like wearable tech, which I don't know if you've seen any. It's so cool. There is so much stuff right now that like where there's like backpacks that glow and can talk to you. Lots of wearable art. There's a woman named Anouk Wipprecht who has made a spider dress that's like has 3D printed parts and electronics, and if somebody gets too close to you, it goes whoosh, just kind of reaches out and like expands your space. It's like, nope, don't get too close. This is my space. And then it retracts. And there are things that can react to, like if you have any of those sensors that like neurofeedback sensors, lots of interesting things that you can do with that. So it responds to your own body. Fascinating, fascinating stuff in the overlaps of these. So I always recommend for those, if you do wind up going to college, I recommend strongly, don't just study one thing. Get a minor. Expand and try different things because the overlaps of those are really helpful. Like I studied music. I wish I had studied more computer science because music computing, fascinating. I did some of it. I could have done more. I wish I'd done more. Explore different things because the way that they're going to combine, you have no idea, and it's good to have those experiences under your belt. Let me find myself. Okay. Yeah, real life is a mix of subjects. It's all different. Okay, are we ready for our activity? So what we need is we need 2 or 3 pieces of paper, scissors, and something to write with. So I'm going to gather these things. I have them here. But if you need to grab them, grab them real quick. I've also got the instructions up, so if you have to run off and get them and then come back, you can catch yourself up pretty quick. Okay, I've got some paper. And I have my scissors. And I have some markers. And I'm going to just tilt this down so that you can see what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a custom idea deck. We're going to make cards that have your own interests, and you can figure out how to, you can come up with ideas like this. So I'm going to just start this. What we're going to do is we're going to cut strips that go not quite all the way across, but most of the way. And I want to do this quickly because I'm kind of running out of time. Ooh, there's chats happening. So cut several of these. They don't all have to be the same size. I'm being quick. You can also use different pieces of paper or different colored paper if you want. That makes things seem more interesting. And I would love it if people want to. I'm just going to start with one. Okay. I have myself, I'll use different colors. Blech. Okay. Our first things. Now we got 4 different categories. And you get to make them so that they match your own personal interests. So I'm going to say, first thing is I'm going to list some interests. I like. You don't have to write this here, but I'm going to just so that you can see. I like, okay, I'm going to write some things of myself. Folks, throw some ideas in here in the chat. What are your interests? What things do you like? I'm going to write some of mine. Music, Minecraft. I like Minecraft. I like D&D. I like, what else do I like? I like science. Anybody else got cool things that they like? You can say maybe drawing, maybe writing. I like quotes. I like patterns and doodles. Okay, that's good. I've got a few. You can keep going and do more. Then my next one is I'm going to say skills, things that I can do. I can, and I'm just going to do one row of these because I'm going to run out of space here. I can do origami. I can build things out of cardboard. I can, maybe you can draw. And by the way, if you think you can't draw, you can. If you can write, you can draw because you're drawing little shapes of letters. Look, I'm drawing right now. Okay. And I can, let's see, I can do a lot of things. I like doing, yeah, did I get woodworking on here? I can do 3D printing. I could do painting. You could write like any of these different things on here that you want. Okay. Next, our next thing is aspirations. So things that I want to. And this could be a whole lot of different things. This could be like, I want to travel once I can. Once we can again, I want to travel. I want to learn other languages, maybe. Personally, I want to learn how to weld. Let's see, what else? I want to build a house. I want to write a book. All of these kinds of things. So aspirations, things that you want to do. I need one more thing. Let's see. Oh, I lost the comments. I went to the wrong place. Travel. Garden. Ooh, yeah, garden. I like that. Design your own jeans. Yes. Design jeans. Very cool. Cooking. Sunshine. Yes. I love it. Okay. I'm running out of time here. So let me really quick, our last one. I'm just going to cut a couple strips here so I can show you. Maybe I'll just use one. And these are wildcard words, just because it's fun to throw some randomness in here. So wildcards, crazy words that you like. I'm going to start with dazzle. Hit me with some crazy words, folks. You can also come up with like random word generators. Randomwordgenerator.com will hook you up. Let's see. Ooh, neighborhood's one. Rainbow. Rainbow. And let's see. Coyote. Love it. I should have put cats over here. Okay, this is good. We've got dazzles. I'll add shimmer dazzle. Cool. Iridescent? Where like these are all kind of in the same category. Mercury. Okay, here. I'm gonna say, ooh, you know what I'm gonna say instead of Mercury? I'm gonna say planetary. You might have been thinking about something else, but I'm gonna just write planetary there. Okay. Once you have these, and you can do way more than this if you want to, just cut them all out. You're making yourself little cards. Planetary, coyote, rainbow, neighborhood. You can do a neater job than I am doing if you want to, or you can be messy. Messy is perfectly acceptable. Design jeans, garden, write a book, build a house. Well, so now I'm going to have like 4 different kinds of cards. Basically what we're going to do with these is we're going to draw things at random. And then you're going to figure out how to combine those random things. Because you might not have thought about how to combine some of these things before. Like I did one of these earlier, and I happened to, like, I randomly pulled out of here, I pulled Minecraft and D&D together. And which made me think, oh, we could do a campaign, a D&D campaign in Minecraft, and I could design a dungeon in Minecraft and have like my players go through it like that. So, okay, I'm gonna mix these up. Okay, there's those, there's those, there's these, boom, and these. So I'm gonna randomly choose 1 or 2 from a couple of these files. So let's go draw, okay? Draw, oh, a garden. Draw a garden. Ooh, quotes. Rainbow. Okay, this could be cool. So, okay, if we've got this is our prompt, you could draw some quotes about gardening, maybe with like pictures of things that are in your garden. Use like a rainbow of colors and put these, if you have a garden, put these next to all of the plants so that you can see, to show what they are and to give like nice quotes about your garden and about things that you like to do there, or how it makes you feel, or something like that. Should I do one more? Do one more. And then if you have any questions for me, you can start chucking those into the chat. You can also, pull multiple things from different piles. Ooh, cardboard, music, shimmer dazzle, design jeans. Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay. This is fun. How about this? Okay, so maybe you can design jeans that somehow make music. Maybe you can prototype them in cardboard. And maybe they can shimmer. They can be sparkly. Maybe they've got sequins. Maybe they've got glitter. Maybe something else like that. So like you can come up with some really interesting ideas that you hadn't thought of before just by having all of these cards that are specific to you of things that you like, that you are interested in, that your passions are about, and you can keep on adding to them. So that's our activity for today. Questions. I see one question in the chat here. And the question is, do you name of each of your creations? I sometimes do. I often do. For instance, I made a, when we first went into quarantine, I started putting googly eyes on everything. And I started giving things names. So I could even show you. These are on my Twitter. I have this up actually, just in case this came up. I called them my sanity checks. I don't know if we can pull up this window here. So I've got a hammer that I put googly eyes on, and I named it Smashy Jones. This knife with googly eyes is named Niccolo Sharp. Ferris the hairbrush. He's not a hairbrush, he's a brush, but he's got hair for brush for hair. Yeah. Kiki Joe Maker. Sarah Ray Ted. This is a serrated knife. The pun like went over everybody's heads because I was too silly with it. Odie McNomface. Squirt is the glue gun. Strumbolina. Yeah, so I do tend to give names to things, even if it's just like an idea of just so that I have a way to refer to it. But yeah, sometimes I do literally give them names. Viceroy Rory. Yeah. Another question here. Let's see. Have you sold any of your creations? Have I sold any of my creations? I've sold some. I try to, I keep meaning to put up an Etsy shop. I have recently put up a Redbubble store and a Society 6 store that has like some of my art. Some of that's D&D related, and I'm going to put up other designs as well. I have sold a few things specifically to different people, like little dolls. But yeah, not as much. Not as much. I do have a Patreon, which that's probably one of the, if I was going to talk about selling my creations, because there are other ways that people can kind of help to financially support you. I do have a Patreon for my YouTube channel. And so a lot of folks, if they want to help support it, they can donate there. And so in that way, people are kind of, they're not buying my videos, but they're kind of helping to support them in that way. Any other questions? Perhaps not. We just pop back to Vivian.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Barb. That was fun. You've showed us so many fun things. Now I'm just totally inspired. I think I'm going to start making something right now.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to make my nephews putting all those googly eyes and everything he can see in the house down to name something out of that. That will be fun to do.
Packs of googly eyes.
Okay. So thank you again so much for being here with us today. And I hope everyone who joined us today feel inspired and want to start making things. And Barb is showing us a box of googly eyes that comes in different sizes. So maybe that could be a good place to start. Thanks again. Now, if you like our everyone, if you like our program today, please don't forget to tune in again tomorrow. The Maker Talk is happening again tomorrow at 4 p.m. And we have Jonathan from Rediscover Center who will be sharing with us more cool things about making. Thank you all again for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Goodbye.